What is up, my people? It is your homeboy Rough here. So today I'm going to be reacting to Linkaras' History of Power Rangers SPD Part 2 video, so let's do this.
The message also states that they've sent out Omega, but they haven't heard back from him. While Jack is skeptical about the message's authenticity, Kruger wants them to be on alert, since indeed the date is July 11th. Aboard Grum's ship, Morgana is training to fight the Rangers, telling the Emperor that she's also called in some assistance from a powerful warrior named Shorty. Morgana finds Z first and attacks, the two engaging in a very impressive civilian fight for a bit, while the other Rangers fight Shorty. Z morphs and does her best, but Morgana kicks her ass something fierce. She then leaves, laughing at Z and promising to finish her off later. Z rejoins the other Rangers, who have also been forced to demorph by the monster. Morgana assumes control of a giant robot and plants some kind of device in the city. The Rangers head out in the Megazord and fight Morgana, but Shorty finishes working on the device. Fortunately, the Shadow Ranger arrives and stops him from activating it. However, after some more fighting, they do activate it. And it just ends up being fireworks. And they needed a huge device for that. Why? Actually, the fireworks are a signal for Shorty's big brother, Devastation, who arrives and knocks the Rangers away just by waving his sword and shooting them for a bit. Devastation, wanting the Rangers to feel fear after a humiliating defeat, retreats with Morgana and Shorty. Back at SPD, Kat confirms that Devastation and Shorty are the two most wanted criminals in the galaxy. To make matters worse, SPD Galactic Command is short-handed and can't send any reinforcements for them. Oh, and to really make their lives worse, Shorty attacks yet again, and the attack by the Rangers' finishing move only makes him grow. The Zords are too badly damaged to come to their aid.
Now what do we do? I hate empty buildings!
Wow, as if the homeless weren't an indication, the abandoned buildings really show how crappy the future's economy is. This is what happens when you try to follow Angel Grove's domestic policies, you know. Part 2 begins with the Delta Command Megazord being sent in to fight Shorty. While it is bigger than Shorty, he's much faster and manages to outmaneuver the giant robot. However, a new challenger appears, a giant motorcycle that forms into a new Zord. The new Zord, the Omega Max Cycle, following the example of the Ninja Storm Rangers, flies at Shorty on its stomach and then slashes it with its blades. Before Devastation and Morgana can join the fray, a new Ranger leaps out of the Zord.
Look! There he is! Whoa! Incredible!
First 5 Rangers, then 6, and now 7.
It's only gonna take one Ranger to stop you. And that'd be me. SPD Omega Ranger! And I traveled a long way, just for you.
He has the ability to slow down time, which he demonstrates by stopping laser pellets heading for him. And this doesn't make a lick of sense, since they still have the same amount of inertia and force. It's just that they appear to be going slower. But then again, this is Power Rangers, the show where Kruger's massive nose will be scrunched up inside a flat helmet. The Omega Ranger forces the two villains to withdraw, and the other Rangers talk to him. He reveals himself to be the glowing ball of light and flies off. At headquarters, they can't find any record of him in their database, but he arrives and reveals that he came through a time portal from a previous episode. Long story, watch the episode Samurai for it. Bridge scans him and detects only a huge energy reading, no human life signs.
Oh, I'm human. Passing through the time portal has crystallized my being into light energy.
If you're human, tell us where you came from.
The future.
He explains that he traveled back to stop the invasion and very smugly says his advanced tech will stop Morgana and Devastation and that they'd only get in his way. They let him go off on his unicycle, seriously, and he engages the two along with their Crybots. While he fights, I will say that I find his costume perplexing. All the other SPD uniforms have a stylized number on them, even the Shadow Ranger, but what the heck is the Omega Ranger supposed to be? It kind of looks like a Roman numeral for 6, but considering he's the 7th, it just seems weird. Though I suppose since Shadow Ranger is labeled 100 and not 6, it probably doesn't count or something. I don't know. Maybe I just can't see what the actual symbol is. I will also state that I find the decision to make him just a ball of light, well, stupid. I really don't get the logic behind it. Was there some acting compensation thing that made it cheaper if they didn't have a civilian mode? That's nice for saving money, I guess, but it kind of makes it difficult to have him as an actual character hanging out with the others. Bruce Kalish has said apparently that he did regret that decision later on. Anyway, the Rangers decide to help him out as he gets his ass kicked and they defeat Devastation, Morgana managing to get away. At the end of the episode, he reveals that he's Sam, the other kid who had powers. In the next episode, we see that the Omega Max and Delta Megazords can combine to form the Delta Max Megazord, which has the finishing move of, running up to the enemy really fast and punching it. Meanwhile, after the defeat of yet another of his robots, this one not even paid for, Broodwing plots to betray Grum for the waste of his resources. In the next episode, a two-parter called Reflections, Cat and Boom have started working on a battleizer, though haven't quite perfected it yet. It does provide more development on the Jack and Sky relationship, though. The battleizer was designed specifically to work with the Red Ranger's morpher, and of course Sky is feeling down about being passed over. He says he's gotten over it, but he tells Jack about his desire to be like his father.
All I ever wanted to be was just like him. A Red Ranger.
So your father was an incredible guy.
He was my hero.
Sky. Heroes come in all colors.
The episode is also cool for another reason. Sky is sent to interrogate a criminal mastermind on a prison planet who can escape through any reflective surface. There's just one thing I love about it. In addition to covering up all the reflective surfaces of Sky's uniform, the producers had the foresight to also cover up his eyes. It's just so rare to see that kind of forward thinking, and I really have to give it kudos. However, the larger story at work with it is that this mastermind is also the criminal responsible for killing Sky's father. Though this does mean that if Sky's father is Wes, then he's dead. That's kind of a bummer. We see Jack's battleizer, and it looks, not bad actually, just with shoulder pads, a belt, boots, and a thong. Yeah, that part is completely unnecessary, but otherwise it's just light armor enhancements and it looks good. It also gets a secondary mode with a large chest plate and jetpack. Looks a little like the goofier old battleizers, but still not too bad, all things considered. Oh, also, I'm sure people want me to mention this, but this battleizer was also featured in the Sentai, blah blah blah, I don't care about the Sentai. Anyway, the criminal plays on Sky's emotions and manages to get him to shed a tear, and the reflective surface of it allows him to escape. The plot itself is pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, it's a strong character development episode. Sky wants to be demoted for his failure, but Kruger leaves it in Jack's hands.
You told me your father fought to the end. And now you want to quit because you messed up once? I guess you're not much like your father after all. I say we split up. Hit the streets. All right.
In the episode's conclusion, Jack even gives Sky the Red Ranger morpher so that he can bring the criminal in. We'll talk about this some more when we get to the character analysis. You may have noticed that I'm talking about a lot more individual episodes this season than I have with previous ones. That's because it honestly feels like more of a serialized show, where the events of individual episodes have a greater impact on the characters. There is still filler, of course, but they're a lot fewer in number. Hell, even in filler episodes, it feels like subplots develop. For example, Piggy is brought before Grum and he's told that he has to make his choice: support SPD or the Emperor. Piggy chooses him and starts working to undermine SPD, though instead Broodwing recruits Piggy for his own purposes. Poor guy's just getting tossed around like a football. In the following two-parter, SWAT, the Rangers' petty bickering starts interfering on the battlefield, made worse by the theft of their new SWAT armor technology. The Rangers are sent to another planet to be trained by Sergeant Silverback to better work together, whose training technique is to shoot them and then unleash hordes of Crybots